Last game week, around 500,000 managers played their bench boost. They came for our rank, and some of them got it. This game week, those same managers are playing their free hit into the biggest blank game week of the season, and they think the chip gives them the edge. I'm Josh from FPL Hawley. I have 17 seasons playing FPL, and I'm a top 1k all-time ranked manager. In this video, I'm going to give you the framework to navigate Blank Gameweek 34 without a chip, and help you beat the free hitters. I'll also show you exactly what I'm doing with my own squad at the end, because I'm in the same position as you. No chip, free transfers only. Let's get into it. So let's set the scene. 500,000 managers wildcarded in Game Week 32, bench boosted in Game Week 33, and they will now likely free hit in Blank Game Week 34. And this week, the free hit gives them flexibility, a clean slate, and unlimited transfers. We don't have that. We are free transfers only, a blank game week to navigate, and a potentially smaller budget. So we need to be smarter. But here's what I want you to hold on to before we go any further. This is not a disaster scenario. This is a solvable problem. And by the end of this video, you will have a clear plan. Process over panic. Before you start panicking about what the free hitters have, let me tell you why their chip is less powerful this week than you might think. So every team that doubled in Game Week 33 now blanks in Game Week 34. Man City, Brighton, Chelsea, Bournemouth, Leeds and Burnley. That means the free hit player pool is significantly smaller than a normal game week. And when you look at the fixtures that are available, there is no standout walkover fixture. So Liverpool at home to Crystal Palace, who have one eye on Europe. Arsenal are at home to a struggling Newcastle, and Man United are at home to Brentford. Outside of that, nothing really screams must have. So what that means is the list of players that free hitters absolutely have to have is actually pretty short. And when the must-have list is short, the gap between playing a chip and not playing one closes dramatically. Their upside is capped, our opportunity is real. Before we get into transfer targets, a quick word on hits, because this is a question I get most often in a blank game week and I want to address it directly. So in a normal game week, a -4 hit costs you 4 points relative to the field. In a blank game week, the player you're hitting out is scoring 0 points. So the real cost is actually closer to a -2. Hits in a blank game week are significantly cheaper than they look. And if you have 10 or more playing players in a blank game week, that really is a pretty acceptable position. So don't panic if you're sitting on 9. One smart transfer basically gets you there. And if you're wildcarding in game week 35 like me, rolling free transfers has almost 0 value. We've got 5 game weeks left, so we really need to use those transfers. And if you're not wildcarding, hits are even better value for you this game week. My advice would be focus on players with longer term, better fixtures. So Arsenal, Liverpool and Aston Villa. Players that you'll want to hold beyond this single game week. A hit that solves game week 34 and improves your squad for the run-in is a no-brainer. Blank game weeks can be a great time to take a hit. Now, I'm not playing my free hit this week, but if I was, this is roughly where I'd land. And a quick shout out to nextxi.app for the amazing and free team reveal template. So understanding what the free hit template looks like is critical. It tells you what you're up against, and it tells you which players you need to be targeting with your free transfers. The spine of any template free hit this week will be triple Arsenal, likely Raya, Gabriel and Rice, triple Liverpool, Virgil, +2 of Salah, Wirtz or Szoboszlai, and Bruno, who will be in almost every free hit squad this week. Now, in terms of forwards, and I want to be really honest here, there is no standout tier 1 forward for me in Game Week 34. The best option is probably Bowen at home to Everton. For me, the must-haves from this template are 3 players, Gabriel, Virgil and Bruno. Those 3 should be your absolute transfer priorities, regardless of your manager profile. The template is clear, the edges are where you can win. So the same question I asked last game week, and I want you to answer it honestly again, because your answer determines everything that follows. Are you still manager 1? Are you happy with your rank? Your goal this week is to protect it, mirror the template and minimize damage. Are you manager 2? You want to gain rank, 50 to 100k in places, and a few calculated bets in the right places. This is where I sit, and they could make all the difference. Or are you manager 3? You need a really big swing. You're chasing a mini league rival or a serious overall rank movement. This is high risk, high reward. Drop your manager profile in the comments right now. Are you manager 1, 2, or 3? Last week, we had nearly 50 comments with managers identifying their profile, and it was really brilliant to see. So I read and reply to every single comment. So let's do that again. And your profile determines your strategy. So let's break each one down. Before I go through each manager profile, here is your transfer shopping list for Game Week 34 broken down by tier. And a quick timestamp on this video, I'm recording on Monday, so there are still 4 games left to be played in Game Week 33. So this list may change based on form, injuries, and suspension. So tier 1, these are the template locks. So in goal, you'd have Raya. In defense, Gabriel and Virgil. And in midfield, Bruno, Salah, Rice, and Wirtz. And forwards, no tier 1 options for me this week. And that's not me being lazy. That's the reality of Game Week 34. Tier 2, these are the smart edge picks. So in goal, I'd had Rose at Sunderland at home to Forest. In defence, Mavropanos, who got that amazing 23-point haul a couple of weeks ago. And Maguire, Man United, are at home to Brentford. In midfield, Szoboszlai, Gakpo, and then Cunha, who scored against Chelsea last week. And up front, that's where you find Bowen and Thiago. In tier 3, these are the differentials. So you've got Hermansen in goal for West Ham, Ballard or Mukiele in defence for Sunderland, Somerville and Njai in midfield, and up front Solanke, who is back from injury for Spurs away at a near relegated Wolves side, and really interestingly, Alexander Isak. He's building his fitness back up for Liverpool against Crystal Palace. So if Isak starts, he could be a massive differential this week. Now here's the framework that ties all of this together. So your game state, that's your manager profile, determines which tier of player you're shopping in. Your team state, how many players you currently have and how many free transfers you have, that determines how many players from that tier you go and get. So game state equals player tier, team state equals how many you bring in. So manager 1, and this one is fairly straightforward. Your game state says tier 1 only. Gabriel, Virgil, and Bruno are your absolute priorities. If the template hauls this week, you haul with them. That's basically your entire strategy. On team state, if you already have 9 to 10 playing players, 1 smart transfer is enough. Don't force moves. Don't take hits if you don't need to. Stability is your edge this week. And on the armband, it's Bruno at home to Brentford. Around 80% of the game will captain him this week. Going against him as a tier 1 manager carries serious risk. Template coverage is the play for you this week. Manager 2, and this is where I sit. So your game state says 80% tier 1 base with 1 to 2 picks from tier 2. So your candidates are Mavropanos, Szoboszlai, Gakpo, Cunha, or Bowen. You don't need to go uber differential to move rank meaningfully. A few smart bets in the right places could be enough. And on team state, if you have 7 to 8 playing players, a hit makes sense. A -4 that brings in a differential with a great fixture is closer to a -2 in a blank. So it can absolutely pay for itself. And on the armband, Bruno is still the sensible call here. But if you want your edge to come from captaincy, Salah, Wirtz, or Cunha are legitimate alternatives. Sometimes a differential captain alone is enough to move you meaningfully in rank. A few calculated risks here could be all the difference. And finally, manager 3. So for you guys, time is running out. So let's talk about what a genuine swing could look like. So your game state says tier 3 is your hunting ground. Hermansen, Ballard, Somerville, Solanke, Isak. You need to avoid the template entirely. Your upside only comes from going where the free hitters aren't. On team state, you can be liberal with hits, but only for players with genuine differential upside. So a -8 to get the right players in is a legitimate call with 5 game weeks left. But don't take hits just to get template players. That kind of defeats the purpose. And on the armband, go differential. Salah, Cunha, or Wirtz are your best alternatives to Bruno. And if you're feeling brave, Isak, building his way back against the Palace side with one eye on Europe, if he starts and fires, he could be the game changer that you need. But time is running out to make up the ground. So go for that Hail Mary. And finally, let's talk captaincy properly for a moment because it deserves its own section. Bruno at home to Brentford is the template captain this week. He finds points from multiple routes, goals, assists, DEFCON bonus, and Man United at home with something to play for. I predict around 80% or more of the game will have him as captain this week. So going against Bruno carries real risk. But, and this is important, this could actually be a good week for a differential captain. If so much of the game is on Bruno, the managers who back a different option and get it right will move significantly. Salah and Wirtz both face Crystal Palace at home for Liverpool. Palace are focused on progressing in Europe, and that's a fixture worth backing. Cunha at home to Brentford is another option if you believe in him. Sometimes a differential captain is enough for an edge on its own, even if everything else in your squad is fairly template. It's worth considering if you're a manager 2 leaning towards a manager 3. And finally, my plan, and I want to be really clear, I'm in exactly the same position as most of you watching this video. I'm not playing my free hits, I have 3 free transfers, I have 10 playing players before any moves, and I have a blank game week to navigate. So I'm firmly manager 2, even maybe 2.3, 2.5. I need to break into the top 50k, and I've probably got about 20 points to make up to get there solidly. So I need a few calculated bets. Not quite in Hail Mary territory just yet. So transfer 1 for me is confirmed. Ekitike out and Bowen in. Ekitike is out for the season. That decision made itself. Bowen's at home to Everton. He's in form, and he's the best forward option available, as I already have Thiago. So for me, that transfer is done. Transfer 2. I'm considering Dango out for either Szoboszlai or Somerville. Dango away at Man United is an okay fixture. It's not amazing, but Szoboszlai would give me more Liverpool coverage because I only currently have Virgil. And Somerville is definitely the more differential option. Higher ceiling, higher risk, but I don't know if I necessarily want to be doubling up on West Ham attack. The rest of my squad I actually really like. Double Arsenal defence, I've got Virgil, Rice, Bruno as captain. Van de Ven, Spurs defence wouldn't make me super comfortable, but they are away at Wolves, who are basically relegated, and Spurs are fighting for their lives. And then I've got Wilson and Njai in midfield, who I really like as well. One thing that does give me a slight pause is that I have no bench cover. So if anyone picks up a late injury or doesn't start, I have no one coming off my bench. So that is one risk I'm consciously carrying. And as I've already said, I'm wildcarding in game week 35. So rolling my free transfers has low value. I don't know about zero value, but if the move is right before Friday deadline, I will use it. So this is exactly why you should join me for the game week 34 deadline stream. Friday evening, 5:30 p.m., which is 1 hour before the deadline. I'll be finalizing my own transfer plans live, and I'll help you work through yours too. So join me there. 3 manager profiles, 1 framework. Be honest about which one you are, then use the tiers to build your transfer shopping list. And let your team state tell you how many moves you should make. Drop your manager profile in the comments. Are you manager 1, 2, or 3? And tell me your transfer plans. I read and respond to every single comment. And subscribe to FPL Hawley for the deadline stream this Friday and the Game Week 35 wildcard video coming next week. And best of luck in Game Week 34.